Please welcome Brian Gainor.
Great. Thanks a lot, Steve. It really is a pleasure to be here speaking to all of you here at the National Sports Forum. It's such a great conference, and I really appreciate you guys all coming to this morning's session. As Steve mentioned, I focus a lot on the sports social media space, and what I really want to do today is just kind of talk you through and share 10 ways that your sports organization can generate value from social media. And with today's presentation, there's really three things I want to hit on. One, explain why your organization needs to build out a holistic sports social media strategy. Two, identify 10 key areas or buckets that your social media strategy could support. And then three, share some best practices and great ideas from across the world so you can see exactly how teams are leveraging social media to help give some thought starters for you when you go back to your organization. I think Alex and Bernie and the folks on the last panel set it up really, really well, where they talked about the importance of having a organization-wide strategy. And I think we're going to see more and more teams really look to do that here in 2012. So hopefully this will be a nice kickstart for those discussions for you and your organization. And my ultimate goal is really to have you leave this session feeling like a sports social media expert. I'm going to run through a lot of content. And ultimately, I'd love to just run through the presentation, then open it up for discussion afterwards, because I think that there's a lot of great content here that you guys can take a lot away from. But to get things started, I want to take a step back and look at where we actually are as an industry and how we're actually utilizing social media right now. I think there's a lot of teams out there that are using social media really, really well from a tactical standpoint. Anything from the Tribe social suite to a tweet your seat promotion. A lot of teams are doing one-off things that are generating a lot of buzz, driving that fan engagement, but we haven't really seen too many teams out there really build out a whole strategy that really supports everything that they should be promoting from a team standpoint. We've seen a lot of teams take a wait-and-see approach. They don't really want to dive in head first until they can monetize costs and justify the spend. And I think that's perfectly normal. That's how a lot of change gradually happens in sports. We've seen a lot of teams kind of bake it into what they're doing from a marketing standpoint or corporate partnership standpoint, but might not necessarily support everything that they're doing organization-wide. And then we've seen a lot of best practice sharing and idea sharing, which is great. I mean, that's how some of the greatest ideas come about. But I think we really need to evolve as an industry and have more teams kind of step up to the plate as leaders in the social space. I personally, when I look at teams and social media, there's 4 organizations that jump out to me. Manchester United, the New York Jets, the Cleveland Indians, and the San Francisco Giants are teams that I look at and I think, wow, these are the teams that really, really get it. So when you leave the conference, if you're going to look at what any team is doing from a content standpoint, check out Manchester City's website, check out their Facebook page. I think Alex said it best, how teams really need to shift their resources. And I think that's really the team that you want to benchmark your efforts on. But as we look at 2012, I think the key discussion topic that everyone says is, hey, we need to monetize social media, which is true. But to my third point there, don't wait for a monetization model. You have to create your own monetization model. So essentially, no one's going to tell you right now how much a Facebook tweet is worth or how much a Twitter post is worth. It's really about how you're packaging your assets and creating solutions for partners and then selling them off to partners. So again, I think the key storyline for 2012 for most organizations across the world is focusing on building out that holistic social media strategy. And then I would just encourage you again to think differently, become a leader in the space. I'm going to walk through a lot of different ideas, and you'll see the teams that kind of emerge as the true leaders in the space. And I would encourage you to go back to your organization and try to be that person to, again, just think differently in sports. But to get things started, I think there's really 5 key reasons why you should have a sports social media strategy. And I really want to hone in on the first 2, because I think if you get those 2 right, the others will fall in place. The fan engagement and shifting fan perception, I think, are the 2 biggest things that we need to focus on as an industry right now. The revenue generation, I know that's pretty much what you need to get started on a lot of this. But I think if you really focus on the fan engagement, the revenue generation will come. If you build up those followers are more engaged in your social channels, more partners will be inclined to spend in those channels and see a greater return, see more sharing, more amplification of their efforts. So I would really focus on those first 2. And then Matt Higgins, VP of the New York Jets, or former VP, I think said it best. He said, get on, get engaged, and join the conversation. Essentially, there's thousands and millions of fans out there tweeting about your organization. You can take a step back and, not be a part of that conversation, or you can be very engaged and be the ones that's shifting that perception, shifting what people are saying about you, addressing rumors about the team that you might not be able to handle with traditional media outlets. So it's very important that, you become involved and don't just take a wait and see approach. And so we begin to start talking, why do I need a social media strategy? I think this is a great case study for the power of social media. You look at the Los Angeles Lakers, and they have over 13 million followers on Twitter and Facebook, the equivalent of filling up the Staples Center 684 times. So you think about a lot of teams like the Lakers that might dedicate resources to a marketing plan or a game entertainment plan. But when you have 13 million people out there, 684 times the amount of people that are coming to watch the Lakers, and you don't have a strategy in place, that's a big issue, especially when these fans want to follow you and interact with you 24/7 throughout the day. You have a key opportunity to engage with many of these fans that will never come to your game. So I think this is just one example of why it's so key to have a strategy. All these people are waiting for you to engage with them, and if you don't have the appropriate time and resources dedicated against it, it's a huge miss. And it really applies across the board. You look at all the teams in the Big Four. The average NBA team has 1.4 million Facebook and Twitter followers combined. That's 60 times higher than their average game attendance. And it trickles all the way down to the NFL, average 66,000 fans per game. But they have 19 times more social media followers that are out there. I think this is alarming stats that, again, you've got your marketing plan, you've got your game entertainment plan. You need the resources against social, so you're interacting with all these fans, the ones that can't come to your games, or the ones that just want to feel closer to your team during a game, around a game, or after a game. And so when I talk about creating a holistic social media strategy, I wanted to put together kind of a diagram, just kind of illustrates a lot, the 10 key buckets I'm going to talk through today. There's many other buckets to your organization that a social strategy could support. I just want to focus on 10. But I again, want to kind of create this holistic picture for you so you can visualize all the different ways that your team can support a social strategy. Whether it's from marketing, to community relations, to game broadcasts, the opportunities are endless to interact with your fans and just amplify your existing efforts. So to get things started, marketing, I think, is the most natural bucket. When we talk social, a lot of it is brand building, getting word out there about what we're doing. And so we've seen a lot of teams either take very aggressive approaches to their in-stadium marketing tactics, or they'll do anything from jersey signage to out-of-home billboards. I think like the top two examples, Mississippi State painted the end zone of their stadium with the Hail State hashtag. Yes, it's pretty aggressive. Probably 80% of the fans in attendance had no clue what that meant. But for all the fans that are watching at home and on social media, all of a sudden that kind of sends a message to them that, hey, Mississippi State's one of the few schools in the SEC that really gets social. And it's also telling those fans, hey, if I'm watching the Mississippi State game, I can have a communal experience at home by simply following the hashtag and seeing what all my fellow Mississippi State fans are saying about the team. So it's a little aggressive. They just did it for one game, but I think we're going to start to see more teams and organizations do similar things. The Boston Celtics feature their hashtag or their Twitter handle on the court. You would think that's pretty aggressive for such a traditional property, but I think it just kind of reinforces that teams understand that fans at home really want to have that connection. And then in the middle, I think everyone that watched the World Series this year saw the hashtag postseason signage, whether it was in the outfield, behind home plate, on the LED. And again, that sends a message that baseball is telling all their fans at home, hey, we get you, we get social media, and we're trying to enhance your experience at home by giving you this hashtag so you can interact with all your other friends and talk directly about the World Series. And then we've seen a number of soccer teams all across the world begin to get really aggressive, where they're changing out names of players and replacing it with their Twitter handles. They're putting replacing their team name with their team Twitter handle. Again, I think that's pretty aggressive. It's one-off stunts, but I think it just goes to show the power that teams really understand that Social is key, and we're going to start to see more of this moving forward. At the bottom center, ESPN did something really cool in the UK where they asked fans to tweet to the hashtag ESPN UK any question they wanted their broadcaster to answer. And they featured a live billboard along a major highway where they addressed all those questions or comments. And I think this is something really easy that a lot of teams can adopt. Up on the Jumbotron, you can have fans tweet into your broadcast team or to a coach and work it so you can show the answers to those questions live on the Jumbotron during the game. I think there's a lot of applications in the sports space where you can take just a great idea from out of home and apply it to the game day experience to better resonate with fans. And then we're seeing teams, everyone produces premium items. Why not drive some additional engagement by putting a QR code on it that takes them to your Facebook page where they can get a virtual reward, some type of virtual gift, a music download. I think the opportunities are really endless in this space, but it's all about knowing what best practices are out there and then thinking about ways that you can apply them within your organization. And then on the marketing front, continuing along, I think it's really important that a lot of our teams, we look at ourselves as either local or regional or national brands, when in reality, you really have to look at yourself as a global brand. The world is flat. It's a great way to connect with your fans all across the world, especially if you have foreign players playing on your teams. So a team like Liverpool sends out messages to all their fans in different languages around key moments or holidays during the season. And while you might find that this might be a slight annoyance to fans to get 5 or 6 straight tweets in different languages, it also tells your fan base, hey, we're bigger than a US property. We're a global property. So things to just keep in mind. You've got fans all across the world. You can't ignore them. You can't just focus on your US fan base because at the end of the day, as the world becomes even more flat, that's how you're going to see a lot of growth opportunities. And then we've seen Fulham here on the bottom right. Everyone has the press backdrop signage. It's normally extremely cluttered. But this normally is a great avenue to market to international markets. A lot of international news outlets will pick up the post-game press conference. And by putting your Facebook or Twitter handle on there, again, it sends just another message that your team gets social and that fans all across the world should be investing and following your brand through social media. And then from a team sweeps and promotion standpoint, I think this is what everyone thinks about when they think about social. How do I engage fans on my Facebook page? And I think 3 great examples I want to call out. In the middle on the top, Arsenal FC did a great application on their site where it's called Build a Banner. They essentially let all their Facebook fans design a virtual banner, and the best banners then got displayed within the stadium. So how cool would it be if you're a fan, you get to go on, display, pick a message or a campaign or some type of slogan that you would like to see featured in the stadium, and then while you're watching your favorite team play the next day, you actually see it. So that's just one example of how you can bring the virtual experience to life in stadium simply through an app or a function. And on the top left, Manchester United just allowed fans to sign a virtual contract that they could print out and hang up on their desk. So there's a lot of just different things that you can do, just thinking a little bit outside the box. And there's great ways to tie in corporate partners in a seamless way through all of this. On the bottom left, Manchester City FC, they created a Follow the Captain campaign, where prior to their huge game against Manchester United, they got their team captain on Twitter, and he essentially asked fans to submit a video or post a tweet of what he should say to the team prior to the game. The team then went and captured everything, captured the inspirational message that he sent to his team prior to the game, shared it out socially. So there's just a lot of ways, again, that you can incorporate partners and players and do it in a way that provides fans with more access than they've ever had before. Crowdsourcing. I think you guys are going to hear about this to the point where you're going to get really sick and tired of it. But if you think about it, you've got millions of fans, or even if you're a minor league team and only have 30,000 fans. Why not tap into the creativity and intellect of that fan base? Let's say you're trying to come up with a marketing campaign for 2012. Why not ask your fans what that should be? You might find that they have more creativity and some great ideas that you can use to amplify your existing marketing efforts. Nike's done this by simply asking fans, hey, U.S. men's national team's playing incredible right now. What should the slogan be? Someone tweeted out red all over, and all of a sudden that was on merchandise. It was on all their marketing materials. And it's, again, thinking of social media in a different way, tapping into your fans' intellect and creativity and using it to your own advantage. Marseille, a soccer club, hit 1 million fans, and they wanted to celebrate it. So what did they do? They teamed up with Adidas to create an app where fans could design what the team's new third team kit would look like. They had over 60,000 people submit a virtual design of what the team should look like, and then they went and picked the best one, and they sold it. And I would imagine that they would drive more sales from that because you had 60,000 people engaged in sharing it out, what they thought the team design should look like. And then we always try to come up with new gimmicks and new ways to celebrate rivalries. Fresno State and San Diego State simply asked their fans to tweet in what the next rivalry game name should look like and what the trophy should be. All they did was offer an iPad, and they got hundreds of submissions. And in the end, I can't remember the name of the trophy and what the game was called, but again, as you're looking for ideas and ways to amplify what you're doing, you've got millions of fans that are invested in you. Tap into that creativity and those ideas, as they're, in most cases, probably even more passionate about the team than you might be. The second key bucket I want to focus on is corporate partnerships. Again, this is something that we've seen really, really evolve here over the last 2 years. And I think the Cleveland Indians did a great job being trendsetters in this space by building out a tribe social deck. They essentially invited 10 media bloggers to come to the game, just gave them a unique experience, gave them press materials, gave them access to some different feeds that most fans wouldn't get. And all of a sudden, this just turned into a great tactic to influence all those key influencers in the market. They would invite 10 different key bloggers or tweeters each game, and all they had to do was just build a little bit of a relationship with these guys, and they found that the perception, what they were saying about the Indians, definitely changed. They evolved that concept last year into the Tribe Social Suite, where they didn't have to worry about weather. They could invite now 18 people to a game each time. And what I think is unique about what the Indians did with this is they would invite 18 people that had common interests. So they would invite 21 or 18 21 to 35-year-old males that love the Indians, and then they would also invite Miller Coors, a Miller Coors girl, to the social suite. So not only these guys built a bond because they have common interests, but they got exposure to a Miller Coors girl, so they're tweeting about Miller Coors, they're tweeting about their Indians experience, and it just served as a great way to kind of integrate corporate partners in a seamless way. You could do the same thing with women that are 30 to 45 years old and invite over an ambassador from Target, really enhance their experience in a unique way. And I think the Indians provide a great case study for that. And then we've seen what MLB has done with the Fan Cave concept. MLB Fan Cave, they essentially ran a promotion where two guys could live in a house, fully decked out, watch every single Major League Baseball game during the season. They got paid a nominal fee, and what they did was they invited players and celebrities and entertainers, and they've really done a great job building up this social platform. Well, this is a great idea. It's a huge idea, but why not if you're a team and you want to do something big in social media, you can't sell all your suites. Why not offer a contest to hire an intern, have him live in the suite, deck it out, have players come by, team personnel, and really just do something big, do something fun, and use the inventory that you have at the stadium. So there's just a lot of creative ways, take big ideas out there and just find ways to apply them to your organization. Stadium activation. Brands are getting very, very aggressive with how they use social media. Steve mentioned, I work directly with Steve on the Comcast account, and over the past year we've been building out a robust social media strategy. And we just launched it with an ultimate sports social media job contest, where essentially we're looking for one person that will go behind the scenes at dozens of sporting events throughout the year and provide fans at home that are watching games on Comcast with unique perspectives of what it's like to be on the set of MLB Network or behind the scenes at a UFC fight, that'll enhance their viewing experience at home. And we have between 80 and 100 team partnerships and league partnerships. And so what our plan is to leverage those partnerships to provide this person access, to all these different sporting events. And we also see it as a great platform to promote everything that we're doing with our team partners and promote all the great content that we're providing fans at home through our network partners. So it's all about building that holistic social media strategy that can support everything you do as a brand or as an organization. Old Spice in the middle came up with a very novel concept where they created the live cheering section. So fans at home, it was an 8-team basketball tournament. Fans at home could tweet to a hashtag, for whatever team they were cheering for. And the hashtag that got the most tweets or most chatter, that's who the cheering section cheered for during the game. So it was a great way for your fans at home to influence the game experience, all through the use of social media. Again, this isn't driving a ton of dollars for you, but it's finding ways to impact the game experience and then also better resonate with fans that are watching at home. And then social integration opportunities. Again, this is kind of like sweepstakes. This is what we always think of when we think of social media. How do I intertwine or ingrain a brand in my social media page? I think the New York Jets provide the greatest example. Last year during the playoffs, teamed up with Pepsi Max to create a Connect with the Jets button. Fans can go on the Jets Facebook page, click one button, and follow every single Jets player on Twitter. At the same time, they automatically follow Pepsi Max. And during that time period, Pepsi Max increased its Twitter followers by 47%. So it's just one thing. A lot of our teams, we have players that are on Twitter. And I think Alex said it earlier, you either can embrace it or fight it. Why not in this case embrace it? Tie in a corporate partner in a meaningful way and drive value for all parties involved, the partners, the team, and the athletes, and the fans. And we've seen Nike. They created a Write the Headline campaign where great moments happen in games all the time. So what they did was they allowed fans to tweet in what the headline should be after that big play happened. This can happen in the NFL where you score a touchdown. You normally have a 2-minute delay. You can let fans tweet in the headline, work it out with your game day staff where you actually feature the best headline up on the scoreboard. I think Darren Rovell's gotten a lot of traction with this where he always does, hey, what should the headline of the game be? You can do that same concept after the game, but put it in the fans' hands and let them determine what the headline on your digital website should be. So just think of, again, new ways that you can engage fans around your games. And then simple things. So if the New York Jets team up with A&P to sponsor the Tailgater of the Month, that's something that lives on site at the stadium. But a simple digital extension that you can package and sell to them as part of it is allowing fans to create and submit tailgate recipes of the week. So it's trying to sell one-off things to brands like, hey, let's just sell you a tailgate recipe integration. Why not weave it into everything that you're doing, bucket it on, and show them that you're going to deliver exposure to an additional 2 million, 3 million fans that might be engaged with the team. And then social sweeps and promotions. Again, this is very common in the space. You can integrate partners by simply asking fans to submit a question for a player that he'll answer through the YouTube page to win a prize on behalf of that partner. Just very simple things, but again, just think about the way you're approaching your Facebook page, and there's probably a lot of ways that you can be doing it better. The third key bucket I want to touch on is community relations. And I think with community relations, a lot of it is we're doing a lot of great things in the community. We're capturing video, we're putting it up on our websites, but why not amplify it through social? Why not take those videos and take that messaging, put it in a channel where you encourage fans to share it out? Or allow fans at home to select what schools or charities that your organization will be visiting. There's a lot of ways to enhance those simple community efforts that you're doing. If your team has a tragedy or a serious illness for a player, why not put some type of message up through your social channels to really spread word about it and drive viral buzz? FC Barcelona, probably the most popular sports team in the world, put a tweet out about one of their players who endured a grave injury. And all of a sudden, within 24 hours, the tweet became a trending topic. They had over 2,000 people tweet about it. So there's just great ways for your organization to drive awareness for whether it's tragedies or even individual players' philanthropic efforts. So again, just use social as a way to amplify everything that you're doing, but it requires someone that's empowered and your structure to be set up where they can tap into those aspects. We've seen a lot of teams reward fans for liking their page. Well, the Denver Nuggets put up a great example of simply, hey, you like our page, we'll donate $5 to this charity of choice. There's simple ways to engage fans for following your team on Facebook and then also supporting a good cause and driving awareness for that. The San Francisco Giants tied in social media around one of their game sponsorships. So we all sell game sponsorships to brands and partners across the world. But the Giants decided that they would dedicate a game sponsorship to support Keenan Cahill, who's become essentially a YouTube sensation for lip singing with videos. And I don't know his actual condition, but the Giants wanted to support him. And so what they did was they teamed with Brian Wilson and the Mascot, and they created a video that generated over 1 million views or impressions just to drive awareness for this game. And sure enough, they sold out the game and, were able to donate a lot of proceeds to his foundation. So social just served as a great way to amplify that effort. And then, simple things. The All Blacks allow people to simply just donate to a philanthropic effort directly through their Facebook page. Might be, again, just another great avenue to support your charitable partners. And then kids and mascot initiatives. Kids are getting on Facebook. You want to attract that young fan base. I think the Carolina Panthers have done a great job with this. They created a Panthers Pursuit scavenger hunt where fans could essentially go to all these partners' locations throughout Charlotte, essentially play like an Amazing Race-style competition for the chance to win tickets to an away game. And that's kind of a mascot initiative that attracts more older folks. But for younger fans, you can do a lot of things around the holidays. Don't just look at when your game dates are. Look at all the holidays that resonate with kids and come up with some interactive visual things to engage them along the way as well. The fourth key bucket is game entertainment. And when I look at all the teams out there, the team that sticks out to me that does the best job is the San Francisco Giants. They were probably one of the first to really invest a lot of resources in doing a tweet up. They not only had their players there, but they had team personnel. They had the founders of Twitter. And they really made fans of the team that love following them on Twitter really feel engaged. I mean, if you're big on Twitter, how cool would it be to meet players as well as the founders of Twitter? And they've evolved that concept and started to incorporate more corporate partners. So they simply did a game day activation, a scavenger hunt with Virgin Airlines, where fans were encouraged to follow the Giants' Twitter handle and find different brand ambassadors on behalf of Virgin around the stadium to win prizes. And this was just a simple tactic to promote Virgin Airlines game sponsorship, where they gave out free tickets to everyone in attendance. The Golden State Warriors recently did a Foursquare check-in, where any fan that came to the game checked in at their booth could win an exclusive meet and greet opportunity with a player after the game. And as you can tell, they had a pretty noticeable amount of people that actually took part in that. And again, that's just another way that you can amplify the experience without costing anyone any money, except for potentially having an intern work the booth. And then one of my favorite examples is Facebook Fans Night, where minor league teams essentially allow fans to decide what the ticket prices should be, what game entertainment goes on, what promotions they should run, what merchandise costs. So maybe one night each year, put on a Facebook Fans Night. Let your Facebook fans decide. These are all ways to engage your fans, make them feel, they're part of something and they have some type of ownership in what's going on. And then the last example is the LA Dodgers. They created a brilliant "This Is My Town" campaign 2 years ago. Out-of-home billboards, you would see them all over the place as celebrities. Well, they tied it back to their on-site activation by simply painting a wall that looked like the billboard, allowing fans to stand in front of it and encouraging them to share it with the designated Dodgers email address that they would post on their Facebook page. So again, taking that on-site experience and then driving people to your Facebook page because they have an invested interest afterwards. And then from a game entertainment standpoint, I think it's really important that we find ways to add value and provide new content to fans that are going to the games. So in the top left corner, Manchester City, they took all 3,500 of their TVs around their stadium and created some technology where they had scrolling tweets across the bottom. Those tweets had to be regulated, but again, it showed fans that they cared. They wanted to amplify their message and get the word out about what fans are saying on game day. The Phoenix Suns, I think, are going to be the first to start a huge trend in sports where teams have a social sideline reporter. So instead of following a Craig Sager or someone else that's doing the game day from the sidelines, if you're a team, why not take some ownership of that and share some of the insights from a team perspective? what it's like to watch, a game from the fifth row for season ticket holders, or what it's like to be at the scorer's table. There's all new type of vantage points that you can provide to fans at home that might never make it to one of your games simply by designating someone to take care of that. Michigan basketball, they did a thing called the Voice of Michigan Basketball, where fans were encouraged to apply to be the voice of Michigan basketball, who would get access to every practice, every game, every team meeting, and they would then tweet about the game. So why not create a fan ambassador who might do the work for you if you don't have the resources to put against a nice social media strategy? And FC Barcelona at the bottom, you might think that practices are meaningless. Well, they've now started videotaping those and putting them out through YouTube. And they'll get 100,000 views of a simple practice. So when we're talking about new forms of content, don't overlook some of the stuff that might happen every day at your facility that you might be able to share out that fans will find valuable. And I think customer service is key. Fans not only want to be engaged, but they want to feel like teams are listening to them. And Liverpool, I think, has done a great job of this. They simply just ask their fans, hey fans, what should we be doing better? How can we better engage with you on social media? And fans will be honest with them. They'll tweet back and say, hey, we'd love to see more of this content. And I think you can do the same thing with your game experience. I think a lot of teams sometimes are scared to put it out in the open forum and see what fans really say about that experience. But I think you might find it beneficial, and you'll find that fans are very honest with you. And even if you encourage fans to tweet from their seat about their experience, tell you how their game experience is going, you can build that relationship maybe by having an ambassador come up to them and give them a prize, or just interact with them and thank them for tweeting about the game during the game. And I think if you have a big event like the Winter Classic or the World Series, why not put up a post on your Facebook page the next day and just say, hey, fans, did you have a great time at the game? Tell us about your experience. And I think for the millions of Facebook followers that didn't go to the game, they see all the fan comments and see how great it was, they might be a little bit more inclined to go the next time around. The fifth key bucket I really want to hit on is ticket sales. Again, you're not going to generate millions of dollars through ticket sales. It's a nice complement for your ticket sales efforts, and I think you might find that you can use some exclusive pre-sales to drive some additional dollars for your organization. A great example of this is the Cleveland Indians. They held a social media discount where if you followed the Indians on Facebook, you could buy tickets at, I think it was a 10 or 20% clip. Well, if those fans then shared it with their friends, those friends would get, I think, up to a 40% discount, or a pretty sizable amount. And they found for the select games that they did this promo, 40% of all their ticket revenue came through the Facebook platform. Now, it's not a guarantee that you're going to be able to drive a lot of money from ticket sales, but again, it might just be a way to think about different ways that you can incentivize and engage your fans and get those fans at the ballpark that you're speaking to on a daily basis. University of Michigan teamed up, I believe, with Pacquiao to create an exclusive ticket presale only on Facebook. So you had to follow the team on Facebook to get access to these tickets. It could be for a special practice. It could be for a community day. It could be opening day. But think about ways that you can use that Facebook following and get more people to follow you on Facebook and drive ticket sales through it. I think they generated $74,000 worth of ticket sales in 24 hours simply by doing this exclusive presale through Facebook. The Charlotte Bobcats tried empowering their Facebook followers to become ticket ambassadors, where the more Facebook fans that tweeted out about the game and got people to buy tickets, they could win one of 20 experiences, including the chance to meet Michael Jordan. Now, honestly, I don't know the success. I don't know the metrics behind the program and how it worked, but the concept, I think, is good. You're empowering your Facebook followers to get their friends to buy tickets and finding ways to reward them and provide discounts for doing so. Baylor, I think, did a really impressive job on the top right, the picture, where essentially they'll just post pictures from the game, and they'll encourage all their friends to tag themselves, all their fans to tag themselves in that picture for the chance to win season tickets. So what they do is, if you're a fan and you tag yourself in that picture, that then shows up on your wall, and your hundreds of friends will see you tagged in that picture, and then hopefully that becomes a thought starter or a conversation starter about your experience. And all they had to do is offer up, season tickets. It could be game tickets. It could be premium items. but think about new ways to reward fans for taking action on your page and sharing it out with their friends. And then lastly, from a ticket sales standpoint, I believe BAM has put it on all the MLB Facebook page where fans can buy tickets, or I believe I've at least seen an app. But AC Milan, a European club, actually has an online ticketing function built into their Facebook page. So if you've got millions of Facebook followers or even 30,000 followers, that might be something to think about. Again, those fans might not want to go all the way to your website or go to Ticketmaster to buy tickets. But if you catch them at the right time, they might buy it through your Facebook channel. And the sixth key bucket I want to focus on is media relations. I think this is extremely key. Media relations personnel really need to know social inside and out. Team announcements. Greg Byrne, AD at University of Arizona, recently generated just an absolute ton of buzz when he tweeted out that they were hiring Rich Rodriguez through Twitter. Yes, he could have made the announcement through television, relying on all their broadcast channels, but in turn, he was able to generate even more buzz just because he made the announcement on Twitter. And it showed their fan base that, hey, we're Arizona, we get social media. And they also showed their fans, hey, you need to follow us on Twitter because you never know what we're going to post next. You don't want to miss that next big announcement. Alex earlier talked about players owning their own channels. And again, you've got to embrace it. It's not worth fighting it. So if you know Shaq's going to use tout.com to announce his retirement, why not work with Shaq? Shaq was a great player for your organization, and see if there's a way you can incorporate a corporate partner in that to help them capitalize on the 8 million views that video had across the country. So yeah, you really want to try to find ways to embrace the channels that athletes are using, as long as you have a general agreement of how they're going to be used. We've seen more college recruits tweeting about where they're going directly on their page. So if your team signs a guy at the NFL draft and you're going to be making this announcement, even if it's a lower tier guy, if you at least ask him if he's going to be tweeting about it, your organization can be ready to retweet it or find ways to capitalize on those moments when fans are watching most. And at the bottom, I've put on social crisis communications plans. I think this is absolutely key. Every team has a PR communications plan, but these days news breaks on Twitter. And you have to have a voice in that community, and you have to be able to act on it in a very, very responsive way. So if there's rumors about your team that are happening out there, they're likely going to be on Twitter. It's the greatest platform that you can address rumors and issues in real time. And you have to be ready when that player does something that you never would have expected. You have to handle that channel first, because that's really where everything is going to turn into a whirlwind. So it's very important that you think about what your social crisis communications plan will be in the event of any type of crazy things that happen. And then social media serves as a great place to celebrate milestones and campaigns. Pretty much every team these days has some type of marketing campaign throughout the year. Use hashtags to promote that. Get fans tweeting about it. Generate more awareness around those campaigns. If you're a player and you're trying to drive awareness for different players to go to the Pro Bowl or win the Heisman, social serves as a great place to just share out that message. Get people talking about it, especially if you're a team or a school that doesn't have a lot of funds to do so. Coach K recently hit 903 wins, and the team simply asked fans through their social channels, how do you 903? Asking fans to celebrate their best moments in Duke history. There's just different ways that you can make everything that's going on in the organization more social by just thinking about it and thinking, about what teams would really want to respond to. And I think social gives you a great platform to promote other teams and community initiatives in your marketplace. I don't know if you guys saw it, but in the past year, the Brewers congratulated the Packers, on a couple big wins, and the Packers reciprocated it by congratulating the Brewers on a few of their wins on their Facebook page. Again, a lot of times Brewers and Packers fans are the same fan base, and you can really support other teams in your market and maybe even other markets through just general acts of kindness and really driving support around that. And you'll really find that resonates well with fans in the community. And then everyone's talking about content. Content is king these days. So it's very important, as Alex mentioned, that teams control their own content. It's one thing if ESPN's putting out content about you, but it's another thing if you can control that message. So on the bottom right, Puma, they put on a huge sailing event across the world. And instead of relying on what media reporters are saying about the contest, they decided to give fans a whole new level of access by personally inviting 10 bloggers to that sailing race and ask those bloggers to tweet about it, post pictures on Instagram. So all of a sudden, these bloggers, they can write everything that they want. But if Puma's paying their trip, you better believe that they're probably going to be posting positive content. So if your team can't do it, you might have fans that you can just pick to go on a road trip to do this for you, to provide the content that you need around big games. University of Miami held a Social Day, where instead of doing a big media kickoff day, they shut down all their channels, their digital channels, anything on TV, and they had everything live on social media for one day. They had all their players and coaches do interviews via Ustream. They posted them on Facebook. They tweeted things out. So if you're trying to build up that Facebook following, it might just take you to dedicate resources to put on one day where you can really promote a lot of that content in those channels. And again, provide new ways to integrate corporate partners, maybe right before the season or during the season. It's all about how you package it and think it up and sell it to partners. You need to provide solutions and not offer up $100 for a Facebook post. And the seventh key bucket is digital and social channels. I think, again, this is a very natural. A lot of what you do on the digital side can be applied to social. But believe it or not, 50% of people that get on Facebook get on to play games. And 69% of those are female, believe it or not. So you want to find ways, if you're trying to keep people on your Facebook page and find ways to keep them coming back, you need to find interactive ways to engage them. And so the Boston Celtics ran a 3-point play promo where fans could pick which players they think would do the best that night, and they could win prizes if they picked which players would get the most points. The LA Kings reward fans for simply scouring their site, going to different team pages through a concept called gamification, just rewarding fans for socializing and just going to your site on a consistent basis. And then Real Madrid just does a simple quiz game about team trivia, and fans can win prizes. So as you're selling these team partners and trying to get them involved on Facebook, it's important to tell them how many followers you have, but it's also important to tell them how much time they're spending on your site, how they're engaging on your site. And so these interactive games can serve as a great way to kind of boost that average time on site. And then 24/7 fan engagement. I talked about fan engagement probably being the most critical thing that your team needs to focus on with social. And I think the Patriots have done a great job with this, where you've got 70,000 fans if you're an NFL team tailgating in your parking lot, before a game. But for all those fans at home, what are they doing? They're probably watching the Fox broadcast show or ESPN or CBS, but they probably would rather be talking with other fans and watching and viewing content about their favorite team. So why not create a pre-game social destination? It might be a work in progress, but create somewhere where if you're a Patriots fan, you know you can go there. Other fans are going to be there, and you're going to get some type of content or programming that you won't see on Fox. And that could be a tunnel cam, that could be a locker room access cam, that could be a tailgate cam. There's a lot of different ways you can engage those fans so they're not just watching your 3-hour game on a Sunday. They're engaging with fans an hour before the game, watching the game, and then maybe engaging with fans afterwards. So you have an opportunity to extend that engagement period and, again, tie in corporate partners for all those fans at home. The fan cam has become incredibly popular in recent months, where essentially you set up a camera, they take one picture, and the next day every single fan in the stadium can see themselves within the stadium. It's pretty incredible. And we've seen a lot of teams begin to sell this to corporate partners, like a McDonald's, where they'll reward fans for going and finding themselves in the stadium. To be honest, the asking price right now for corporate partner integration I think is a little steep. A lot of teams are asking $20,000. And it's really hard to find a return on that. I mean, yeah, you can engage fans and find ways to provide new value, but teams really got to think about the assets they're selling to corporate partners. Is a corporate partner really going to find a way to generate $20,000 worth of value from that? Probably not. So you got to be really smart when you're selling social assets to partners. You got to think through their thought process and how that's really going to drive value for them. And just a couple other examples. In the middle, Baylor worked with Row 27 to create a Baylor Rewards program, where essentially the more fans tweeted or posted about the team, the more chance they would have to win prizes. And it's just a one-off microsite that serves as an enhancement to their digital site that can just, again, find ways to tie what you're doing socially back to what you're doing digitally and get people really engaged and wanting to talk about your team. I thought MasterCard did something really interesting around the Rugby World Cup this year, where they posted a picture up on their Facebook page and encouraged fans to post on there where they were, what they were doing when that moment happened. So think about all the great moments in your team's history. Why not simply post that picture on your Facebook page? Ask fans to remember and talk about where they were, how they consumed that moment. And they did so in a way where fans could then share it out to all their friends as well. So you've got all this great team history and memories. Find ways to capitalize on that. That's the content you have already that you don't really need to go out and create. You already have it in-house. And it's very important from a team standpoint that you listen to your fans and you tell them, hey, we're going to amplify your voice. What you say matters to us. And it could just be a simple posting where you post a fan's tweet up on the website on a daily basis. Best tweet goes up on the site. So you'll find that your average social media followers might be more inclined to visit your digital website on a daily basis, where they might get access to new merchandise or want to buy tickets. The Golden State Warriors allowed one guy to have free season tickets for the year if he blogged about his experience as a season ticket holder. So if I'm a prospective season ticket holder, I go on the website and I see this full blog about this guy talking about all of his experiences as a season ticket holder. It might make me a little bit more inclined to go out and buy season tickets because I know exactly what I'm getting. So it's really important that you think about your fans, and they're very smart fans, and find ways to amplify them, amplify their voice through your social channels and digital channels. It could be simply tweeting out the best tweet of the day from all your fans, and every fan's going to want to be that guy to get that type of credit in your social channels. The eighth key bucket is game broadcasts. And I think everyone has seen what has been taking place at game broadcasts, where broadcasters are still figuring out. Some networks really get it. Others really kind of haven't struck it yet. But at GMR, we did something really, really interesting for Speed Channel. Around the All-Star race, they were trying to create a lot of viral buzz and social buzz. So we developed a Speed social tracker where fans could essentially go on and interact and tweet and post on Facebook directly to all the guys that are announcing the race. And those announcers would respond to them in real time, and everyone could see the answers. And it just served as a great way for fans to interact with broadcasters in a very unique social way. So they had over, I believe, 30,000 clicks, and it just served as a great way for Speed to show NASCAR fans, hey, we get you, we want to engage with you. And it just serves as, that's another great platform that incorporate partners in your game broadcasts. At the Australian Open, they just created a social leaderboard on their website. Very easy, where they essentially just ranked all the players that fans were talking about. So clearly Maria Sharapova was who everyone was tweeting about the most. Everyone's got our team player pages where you promote all your players. Well, why not turn that into a leaderboard so fans can see, if fans are talking about LeBron James the most, or Chris Bosh, or Dwayne Wade, or it can resonate really with any team. But you're, again, adding that interactivity and helping your team players gain followers. And then recently the Pac-12 did this, where they did a live poll. Who were fans talking about, Oregon or UCLA? And they just looked at all the chatter, counted up all the chats, and then featured that in broadcast. So for that next broadcast, if you're watching the game, you know that the Pac-12 or Oregon is likely giving you an opportunity to tweet about your game. So fun, easy ways that you can tie that into your broadcast. And then I think we've seen almost all networks adopt it, where you'll see Charlie Casserly and they'll put his Twitter handle underneath it, and you'll go follow Charlie and you see he tweets like 10 times a year. So they're getting better at it. They understand that that's where they need to be. But it's really important that, hey, if Charlie Casserly's on set, he's not talking, he might be tweeting something out to those fans that are watching at home, so they can feel like they're not only just getting that one-to-one interaction, but they're very invested in the broadcast. And all your game broadcasters have all that inventory, whether it's courtside, whether it's behind the plate, all that valuable inventory that they hawk out to their partners. Well, there's a way that they can allow fans to tweet in a message and feature it on that inventory, and have a brand sponsor it and have that brand show fans at home that they're giving fans a voice. So there's a lot of different things that they can do. And I talked about content prior to your game. There's a lot of opportunities for your team to work with your local FSN or your cable carrier to create a tunnel cam or some type of exclusive content to not only promote the game, but also promote their coverage of the game before or after the game. It's all about creating exclusive access, more content, just delivering fans what they expect these days in sports. The ninth bucket is licensing and merchandise. And I think I said it before, you're not going to generate millions of dollars, but if you find that social can support all these different buckets, you might see, hey, we can generate $20K in licensing here. We can generate $60K in corporate partnerships here. I mean, when you add it all up, I think you'll find that you'll see a return on your investment in the social space. So licensing is another great example. The New York Jets created a Green It campaign where essentially the week the Jets played the Giants, they encouraged fans to tweet or just post if they were going to be wearing green that week, to celebrate the game. They had 5,800 people come to this site and say that they're going to be wearing green the day of the game. For the people that didn't have a green Jets shirt or Jets jersey, they put a simple widget on there, shop at the Jets shop, where you can get a green shirt or apparel right away. So the microsite probably took, a couple hours to build and limited resources with your digital team, but it provided a great way to potentially boost revenue around a big game, especially if it's the Super Bowl or some other big game that your team's playing in. If you're promoting new apparel, you're trying to drive revenue from licensing. AC Milan celebrated a new jersey that they put out by just simply putting a widget on their Facebook page where fans could put their name on the back of the shirt and post it as their Facebook profile. So if you're Nike and you're the Oregon Ducks and you're trying to drive awareness around this new apparel, why not have it live socially by letting fans spread the word about it? There's very simple ways that you can do this, whether it's with the item of the week that you might be pushing or the item of the game. There's very simple tactics you can do to help drive awareness and drive sales through your social channels. And then we've seen a lot of teams use social to, again, drive sales, whether it's offering an exclusive discount for Facebook followers or whether it's selling merchandise that has a hashtag on it or a handle that social media followers might want to buy. There's just new ways that you can resonate with your fans online with not a whole lot of effort. If you're going to be posting a weekly, item of the week on your digital page, why not promote it through Facebook? It'd just be another great channel to drive purchases through that. And then we've seen the Tampa Bay Lightning this year give out jerseys to every season ticket holder that had a chip in it. So when that person went to the game, they could get 25% off concessions and merchandise simply by having this chip in their jersey. But think about where that's going. So teams now might be able to embed chips in their jerseys where fans can automatically check in on Facebook whenever they go to the game, or they can tweet something out through this chip in their jersey. I mean, there's a number of different ways that we can go with these chips. It's a little scary, but your apparel is going to become social very, very fast. And I think we've seen that with Adidas and Nike recently, where Adidas puts chips in all their soccer cleats, their new ones, where any fan that plays can go onto the Adidas website afterwards and see how fast they run, how much they sweated. I mean, there's a lot of different things it's a little scary, but all this new technology is providing new ways for us to share that out. And Nike just announced the Fuel Band, which does a lot of the same technology. So why not, sell some type of band or give out a band to fans that every time they go to the game, they can wear it and check in and get rewarded by a partner. There's a lot of different ways that we can go with this from a social standpoint. Location-based engagement. Everyone says QR codes don't work. They probably don't. There's probably about 5% of people that use it. I don't know the stat, but at the same time, it gives you a reason for fans to buy merchandise at your store or get rewarded for doing so. So instead of having your fans go to the local Dick's that you're not affiliated with or Sports Authority, why not offer something at your team's store where they can check in on Foursquare and get a discount? or they can scan a QR code when they buy a shirt and get a 10 or 15% discount on their next purchase. Find ways to use location-based services and QR codes to reward fans for taking action on-site at your team store and not at some local retailer that you might not have the same revenue share from. So there's a lot of ways that you can use QR codes, again, even though no one uses them. You might find that the adoption might be a little bit higher in your team store than you anticipate. And then lastly, I appreciate all the patience. I've been trying to go through this pretty quick, but I think it's really important to show all the different channels that your social strategy can support. And the last one is team and player personnel, which is normally a sticky subject with a lot of teams. You know, marketing folks have pretty good relationships, but a lot of things are off limits. But if you can get ownership to buy in and give your social media person empowerment and access to everyone in the organization, I think you're going to really benefit all that are involved. So from a team and player standpoint, Google+, how many people are on Google+? Anyone? Oh, we actually have a decent amount. How many people are active on Google+? So we've got two out of a lot of people. And that's the same approach I've taken. I've got on it, I've gone on to check it out. It could very well turn into a very engaging platform. It's kind of a wait and see. But it does provide a great platform for you to provide fans with access to players through their Google+ Hangouts. So essentially a DeMarcus Ware can go on and you'll have 20 or 30 fans are a part of this virtual chat where they can submit questions directly to DeMarcus. He answers them back in real time. And this has proven to be a great platform for teams to do this. Whether it's David Beckham, DeMarcus Ware, a number of players and teams are starting to use this for that. So it's kind of wait and see. We'll see what happens. But if you're not sold on Google+, you can easily do what Manchester City does, where they let fans tweet in to David Silva. They put hashtag Ask David, ask him any question. And then David will then go and spend 20 minutes recording a video that they post on YouTube where he simply asks or answers all those questions. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get fans more access to players in a pretty simple format. It would require maybe 5 minutes to go through, pick out all the questions, take them to the player, set up the video, capture that content, and post it through your social channel. So we're talking in total maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, and that provides that fan with that type of access to that player, which is pretty incredible. And then lastly, so we've got player directories on all their team sites. A lot of times they'll say their position and their height and weight and whatnot. But why not, if they do have a Facebook or Twitter profile, why not make it social and put that right next to it? So if I'm a big fan of LeBron, I go on that page, that roster page, I can get even more access to him by simply clicking that Twitter or Facebook profile. So it's just a great way to promote which of your players, if they're using social correctly, are ones that your fans should follow. And you can use it for your team personnel, your ownership, across the board. And I thought this was cool. At the bottom right, Clint Dempsey, a player over for Fulham. He simply went online after his game. He had scored, I believe, a hat trick. And he found a great fan video that someone had posted on YouTube simply by clicking Clint Dempsey. And he posted it on his own Facebook page with millions of followers. Well, those followers are going to be extremely receptive to that. So if you get your players and fans thinking that way, you can have your players pushing a lot of this content that fans are looking for you without you having to do really anything. And then, believe it or not, we've got teams that are turning to social media for fan scouting. So you've got all these fans, they're deeply invested in your organization. They might have some crazy thoughts, but a soccer club named QPR, the general manager of the club, went on Twitter and said, hey, what player should we be following? What's that great talent out there that we're not seeing? And they grew their Facebook followers by, I believe, 39%. And they had thousands of people submitting in what players they should go after. And, so if you're a minor league club and you don't have a strong scouting system, social media, believe it or not, could be a way for fans to provide insights for your organization. Or if your team's going after free agents, even though you might not listen to them, it's a little risky, but at least see what they have to say. Put the question out there. Who should we be going after? And you'll see what type of response that fans might provide there. So again, it was a lot of content. Now I just want to bring it back to this diagram because, again, I think instead of thinking one-off, hey, we got to use social to support marketing or corporate partnerships, you need to see the big picture and see how you can have one person empower that person and have them support all areas of your organization. So I think this wheel does a nice job kind of illustrating that. Get social, but you have to be strategic about it. And lastly, 5 action items for you as you go back to your organization and try to put this into place. 1, simply analyze your social media efforts. See what you're doing well, see what you can improve on. Look at some of the other teams out there that are doing a great job and just, take some of those best practices. Put those all together and try to formulate a social strategy like the one I just walked through. Find a way you can restructure your organization or find funds to hire one person that can do all this, empower them. And then 3, create a monetization model. Figure out ways that you can package these assets or this content or this access instead of waiting for corporate partners to come to you and say, hey, I want to do in social, what can you guys do for me? Or, hey, I've got a great contest we're launching. Can I post a tweet and you end up doing it for free? You need to be proactive. You need to package assets and you need to take those to your corporate partners and show them how you're providing incremental value for that. Number 4, empower a future leader. Get them involved, get them engaged, make your organization social. And then 5, become a leader in the space. Think differently. The great ideas that people are going to be talking about are the Tribe Social Deck or MLB Fan Cave. So what's that next great idea? What's that thing that you've seen work so well in cosmetics that could be applied to baseball? Or what's that great idea of a way you can work with a broadcaster to really take your game day social activation to the next level? Think differently and become a leader. So thank you very much for everyone's time. I'll open up to any questions or anything that you'd like to discuss. You have a question?
First question is very simple. Can you go back 2 slides to your pie chart?
Sure.
I just am digesting that. I think that's a really good structure about laying out a strategy. That's a good way to organize.
And it's a lot of content. It's a lot of different buckets to touch. Let's say you even start with 4 or 5 and focus on those that you think are the 4 or 5 areas that are going to drive the most engagement or most monetization. And then I think in time you'll find that the others will become a little bit more seamless as members of your organization get more acclimated with, putting out social content.
Brian, you kind of talked about it for a second. On the corporate partnership side, that is a tough scenario as far as pricing goes. And what are some of the ways you think we're kind of measuring that? Is it being sponsor driven as far as, actual purchase in the store? Is it something that we're tying into social sites, or some of the ways you think that is?
Yeah, I think it really has to be hitting costs. So if you sell an A&P on the activation, in the tailgate lots, and you find a way to bundle in the social and say, hey, we're going to be extending not only this on-site presence, but it's going to live socially for X amount of months. It's that hidden cost that you can provide X amount of impressions in addition. Depending on what the objectives are, it's kind of hard to say. I think you would handle on a case-by-case basis, but I don't think that we can sell social assets on a one-off basis. Or if a brand comes to you and asks for, what a social media asset's going to cost, I guarantee whatever you tell them is going to be more expensive than what they think it should be. Because again, we don't have this monetization model. So I think if you're going to try to drive revenue through corporate partnerships, it's got to be on the upfront, in the proposal, or in a big idea you sell them mid-season, but it's got to be hidden, where it's part of, hey, we're delivering X impressions through this. If I was a brand, I'd be more receptive to that than me going to them and saying, hey, I want to do this on Facebook, how much it'll cost, and you tell me 10 grand, I'm like, no way. So I think that's the way you've got to look at it, is just baking it into your programs. Okay? Yeah. That's tough. I think if you do it one-off or around stuff that those guys might not normally report on, whether it's apparel or something, I think that there's different areas. The Rich Rodriguez example is a little extreme, where a lot of your media guys might take a lot of resentment that you're not given the opportunity to report on that first. But I think if you just do it periodically and find ways to create excitement around unique things, whether it's let's say if you're the Diamondbacks and Derek Hall is going to do something exclusive for fans, a media reporter might not really hit on that. You can create new excitement on your social channels through that. But that is a tough question. I mean, it's a balance. I mean, you really got to know your reporters and how they're going to respond to that. Maybe if you do that Rich Rod announcement, you find a way to, I don't know, it's tough. Provide them content that only they can get, that other major outlets can't get. I don't know. That would be something that each department, I think, would just need to work out and figure out how often they could do big announcements like that. So sorry I don't have a better answer for you on that one.
This is also new and nice because you eventually news for your fans, then you almost don't have to worry about them getting not really on stage.
And I think, as we've seen, a lot of teams have brought on the local beat reporter to be the guy putting out the content. I know the Florida Gators hired 2 local guys, I believe, from the Orlando Sentinel that are now the ones driving the content. And there's never been better content on GatorsZone.com because they got those reporters and they're working for them now. And so I think if you can do that and you have an influential reporter on your side and you give him the breaking story or the breaking news, I think it's the reality of how things are today, where the other media reporters, unfortunately, are at a disadvantage, but you control the content, and if you have a powerful person that's reporting on your behalf, I don't think it's as big of an issue as if you're an organization where you don't have that. I honestly can't speak to that. I just know as a Gators fan, I go on there, I see Chris Harry posting stuff, so I don't know how it worked, if they hired them away or if they were just actively looking to get out of the newspaper industry and this is where things are headed. But we're starting to see a lot more organizations do that.
I was going to make a comment with so many professional athletes and so many organizations and everything, just to add to that, maybe that incentivizes those media people to stay connected with that person if he's kind of media's, crazy. Doing a lot of things, a lot of action, and blah, blah, blah. So to me, that's an incentive to stay connected.
And I know there's some resentment amongst media members, but I think everyone knows it's kind of where things are headed. And again, teams control their own message, their own content these days. And as long as you can keep it a healthy working relationship, you find ways to reward them in other ways on other stories, I guess.
I know in our sport, in motorsports, the better reporters have just accepted that as a reality, and that's just another one of their sources. And maybe it's a driver that's made some shots and becomes.
And I talked about companies sending bloggers and to have them blog on their behalf. I was shocked. A year and a half ago, Nike had even reached out to me. I have a small following, and they reached out and paid my way to go to their big Nike summit where they unveiled all their uniforms. And I got there and I found that they had invited 30 other bloggers. So a lot of brands are doing this today, where all of a sudden these people that aren't huge media influencers but have strong viral potential, they're inviting them out. Might cost them like 30 grand, but they know exactly what type of exposure they're going to get through that. And I think we're going to see more brands do that, and hopefully teams, as you're looking to provide new content to your fan base. In the back?
One question I had, a little bit is still a trend as going forward, but I just can't engage as a consumer.
Yeah.
You touched on a little bit, and you see it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm actually a little disappointed in Foursquare. They had so much momentum there going for a while, and so many teams wanted to engage them and offer Foursquare, and I think it was very hard for a lot of athletic departments and teams to be able to do it. And so I think teams have moved on, really focused on Twitter. I mean, the way with mobile phones, 50% of people, or more people are going to be accessing the internet from their mobile phone in 2015 than the internet. So, I mean, it's pretty crazy. So I think, as more people get mobile phones and they're used to, doing things online. My biggest thing is I personally don't like checking out Foursquare because I don't like people knowing where I'm at if I'm traveling. And I think a lot of fans probably share that same concern, unless I know I'm going to get a reward. So there's really no point to risk my privacy if I'm just going to check in somewhere unless I'm getting a reward. If you can actively reward fans, know you're going to be starting out small from a location-based engagement standpoint. You're going to have 50, 100, 200 fans check in and know it's going to grow over time. I don't think you can invest too many resources there. But what the Warriors did, I think, is a great way to build that up. So simply by letting fans do an exclusive meet and greet after the game, all it cost them was a table booth and a player's time. I think as you do more things like that, you might have some success. But I'm still just not sold on dedicating a lot of resources to that just yet.
We talk a lot in our industry about Twitter and Facebook. And Facebook has, of course, the last years in our industry specifically. It's new and emerging.
Yeah, I don't think anything's going to replace Facebook and Twitter at this point, but everyone's been talking about Pinterest. Great way for teams to engage their female fan base. A lot of females are now using Pinterest to post pictures about things that they like. So why not be a brand or a university that posts pictures that other female fans might like, whether it's new apparel, whether it's something from if you host like a clinic for women, find ways where they're posting that on all their channels and all their friends are seeing it. Yeah, it won't be as big as Twitter or Facebook, but I think Pinterest could be a new area of opportunity to target that female fan base, at least for now, until more males kind of see it as a platform to use. So Pinterest and Tumblr's a little tough unless you have a fan blog or a team blog, but I would focus on Pinterest as being that next one that I should at least be thinking about over the next year or so. Okay, in the back?
Hey, Brian, I just wanted to add to your ticket sales comment. I mean, I think a lot of teams are doing a good job with pushing out offers, but I think one thing to talk about is very untapped is from a sales rep standpoint, the opportunity to engage and handle their social media, engage what your clients' needs are. Understanding your clients' needs, encourage and increase ticket sales. So I just want to make that comment.
Yeah, and I think if you put a button or app where fans can go on there and ask questions about ticket sales, I think fans would be really receptive to that. But I personally would be a little threatened if some ticket sales guys started direct messaging me or reaching out to me that way. So I think you got to be a little careful there. But I totally agree. I think it's a great forum to build those relationships with fans. But I think you'd have to do it in the right way where fans might not feel threatened or feel like someone's just hampering their personal space. But yeah, I totally agree. Have you seen any teams that have done that well?
Yeah, Timberwolves do a good job with it, and I actually worked with them a little bit. And what I had them do was reach out to their clients with, hey, in an effort to give you better customer service on this space. I think that's a non-threatening way to do it, and follow them a little bit better.
Yeah, and that could be a great platform to use for LinkedIn. Yeah, again, Facebook, I think I would never want a team rep to ever reach out to me on Facebook. I don't use it that way, and I think a lot of people share that same concern. But LinkedIn would be, I think, great for that, and yeah, potentially Twitter. Twitter would be another great forum. So yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I agree on your Facebook comment.
Yeah. Very good. Question in the back? There's always going to be legal issues. Pinning things down. I know with Comcast, there's always hurdles that you have to go to, whenever you're dealing with user-generated content. But as long as you own your own content and you are, managing, as long as you're not doing a lot of programs where fans are posting their content through your channels and you own it, I think you can get around a lot of those legal boundaries. I'm trying to think of examples that I posted here from a legal standpoint. Marketing efforts, I don't think would be touched. Anything you do with a partner where there's user-generated content, there will be. But do you have any specific examples or current concerns where legal might be involved? Yeah, so to your point, yeah, that is a good point. So anytime you're going to do a promotion involving crowdsourcing, you would need to lay out a set of rules that outlines, hey, fans can submit ideas, but the team has full discretion to use them wherever and whenever you're basically assigning. So there could be some legal involvement with any crowdsourcing type promos like that. So yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, that's another very good point. You have to make sure you have the systems in place from a privacy standpoint. But, any other questions? Okay.
This is kind of a follow-up to his comment. One of the issues that we run into as a season ticket representative is I have customers that request to be my friend on Facebook, and obviously wanting to keep that difference between personal and business, but at the same time, we're always trying to create that relationship with our customers. What do you recommend as far as handling that situation?
I would just be brutally honest with the fan and say, hey, I've got a Twitter profile or Twitter handle that I specifically use for work purposes. I use this for personal, and I'd love to engage with you through that medium. As a fan, I would understand that. But I would find one social medium that you can have that interaction you can use for business purposes. 'Cause I think most people have one that they keep for personal, one that they use professionally. I think as long as you tell people that, I would think most fans would be fine with that. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that actually is true, or?
No, I think so. It's just obviously I don't want to offend them by not, and there are ones that you get that the relationship is there. There's others obviously that you build a more personal. It is a challenge because I really haven't used Twitter too much, and more so than I think. That's that as far as pushing it. But
Yeah.
I think they're looking for even more of a personal, like, hey, this is my guy, the Twins, and
Yeah.
kind of that more personal.
I think you just have to be upfront and honest. It's the same as if someone in the workplace adds you as a friend on Facebook. You might be your boss's boss, and a lot of times you might not be comfortable just giving them that type of access to your personal life. So I think as long as you're upfront with them and tell them what your preferred communication platform is, I don't see how a fan would have an issue with that. But next question.
Have you seen any teams like actually comparing their site traffic to the Facebook traffic? And I've seen like other brands, like it's 50-50, 60-40 almost of consumers that are choosing to go interact with the Facebook page than rather to go to the foresight of that brand.
Yeah, I can't really speak from a team perspective because I don't necessarily work for a team, but it's so easy these days with Facebook analytics and your website Google Analytics to compare that traffic that if you're a team and you're not doing that, I would think that you should, so then you can also show management that your Facebook or social tactics are working, that you're driving more engagement or time spent on this site than this platform, and you can figure out what content should live where. I think it's called Sports Fan Graph Sports Fan Graph. Pat Coyle started it. I put up the numbers at the Big Four. I simply just pulled all those numbers off this site. It shows a list of every single team and what their Twitter followings are across all sports. So it's a one-stop destination, and then I just looked up game attendance figures on MLB, so you can easily calculate what your own ratio is for your organization if you need to sell it into management.
So it's 12:30, time for lunch. So why don't we, Brian could talk all day on this topic. Anybody have one more question? Otherwise, another round of applause.
Great, thank you very much.